I was born by the river in a little tent, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm not afraid to die. I just want to know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But the winds, they keep knocking me back down to my knees. Oh, it's been too hard living, but I'm not afraid to die. I just want to know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. You all having a good morning, everyone. You all having a beautiful morning? Okay, this one, you can sing along with me. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Love was chasing the minds of pretenders while chasing the clouds away. Our heart was ringing, put your hands together, in the key our souls were singing as we danced in the night. Remember how the stars stole the night away. Hey, 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 party on, didn't you remember? Party on, dancing in September. Party on, dancing the clouds away. I know, sing it with me. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. My thoughts are with you, holding hands with a heart to see you. Only blue talk of love, remember how we knew love was here to stay. Now December found the love that we shared in September. Only blue talk of love, remember the true love that we used to share. Party on, dancing you remember. Party on, dancing in September. Party on, chasing the clouds away. Hey, again. Party on, something you remember. Party on, dancing in September. Party on, chasing the clouds away. Ba-dum, 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 chasing
I want to invite to the Bima, Dr. Reverend Keith Cox.
Everyone, come on, a thunderous round of applause. I mean, at this hour, these boys are attempting a falsetto. Come on, right? And doing it. So let's give it up to them. Look who's back in the house, Dedrick Bonner and Yaron Spiwak. Yay. So what a pleasure to see you. The way the chairs are set up today, you guys are a bit far away. So am I getting any feedback if I come back here? Good. All right, good. I like to be so close to my peeps. So how is everyone today? Good. Me too. Me too. So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. We gather together on Sunday mornings to come together in community to acknowledge the oneness of life that we all exist as. It's the very thing that animates our life and is the very force of life throughout the universe. Primarily here, we practice the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes. Dr. Holmes wrote the book, The Science of Mind, among many others. And his philosophy, which was a culmination of all the great religions of the world, that's known as a faith and a way of life, is that there's only one mind. We each both individualize that mind. We do that through our expressions, our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, and our reactions in life. As life. In addition to that, we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law, and so how that manifests itself in our world is a result of our actions, our thoughts, our reactions, and our interactions in life. So we get to see what's transpiring in life. That's a result of our thoughts and our beliefs, and our actions fill in the blank as well. And so what it all comes down to, if we don't like what's going on in our life, we get to change our thinking, change our behavior, and we'll get to have different experiences in life. So to me, I like that concept. I came into it in 1982 and I've been here ever since. And so I think it works. So I'm assuming that that's the case for most of you, that it works for you as well. I see there's some new faces here today, so we welcome you all for being here and would like to have you honor each other and do what our beloved founder used to say every Sunday morning, which is welcome one and welcome all, and do that by saying hello to each other.
Hello. Good morning, Dedrick.
I did that with one. So in that brief moment of you all saying hello, I redecorated a little bit because I want to be closer to you. It is in my DNA, a little decorating here or there. But I'm so proud of myself that I did all of that and only spilled a little bit of water, right? So I'm not going to attempt to walk on that water until the end of the service, and then I will. So while we've said hello to everyone, let's all say hello to those watching us online and our Facebook Live. So hello, hello, hello. So we're going to continuing the opening of our service with a ritual that we do every Sunday morning called Calling in the Light. The content changes on Sunday mornings, but the essence of it is the same. It's an opportunity for us to take a deep breath, to anchor ourselves into the oneness of life that was spoken of a moment ago, to honor a quality of the divine that exists within us. In our philosophy and faith, we believe that those qualities are peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. And we'll take one of those and focus on them during this time. And so we will also light a candle during this, or candles during this ritual. You'll have an opportunity to do a call and response, sing along, if you will. And then I will end in what's called spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of affirmative prayer. And so I'd like to invite up to the Bima, Connie Schneider, one of our longtime members and volunteers and board members. We love Connie, to light the candles for us. ritual we perform this morning is called Calling in the Light. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities we possess as complete expressions of the divine. As we feel the vibrations shift during this experience, may we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life that includes you and me. The quality we use today in our ritual is joy. Let's use this acronym of the word joy during this ritual to create an opportunity for each of us to embrace our light in a more expansive way. As Connie lights the first candle, J, which stands for just. Lighting the second candle, O, stands for open. Y stands for yourself. Joy. Just open yourself. And so today I affirm for each of us, as a result of our finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, that there is joy in this conscious opening of our minds, our hearts, our soul, and being. And as a result of this conscious opening, we are participants in the ripple effect of joy transpiring around the world. Repeat after me, please. Just open yourself. One more time, please. Just open yourself. In the closing part of this ritual, we will light the fourth candle. It's known as the healing candle. In our philosophy and faith and way of life, we know that the spoken word has great power as it places an imprint on our subconscious. And so, as we light the healing candle, I ask you to take a moment and think of anyone that you would like to have affected by the healing light of the flame of the divine. And I'm going to read a list of names that I'm putting into this light, and then we'll open the space for us each to collectively state any name that we would like to put into this light. Edward Brown, Jenny Ventress, Joy Hall, Ina Welland, Larry Gershman, and David Muchnick. Please feel free to state any names that you would like to have in the light of the healing flame. And so we know that these words that have been spoken do imprint on the consciousness of healing, and that each and every individual experiences the eternal and everlasting love of the divine.
Repeat after me. I am love.
I am love.
I am peace.
I am peace.
In my heart.
In my heart.
I am free.
I am free.
I am spirit.
I am spirit.
I am soul.
I am soul.
All together.
All together.
We are.
Calling in the light, calling in the light,
And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
So just staying present in this resonance field of healing. I speak my word individually and collectively for those here in this room and watching online. But as we've consciously chosen to open ourselves to the joy of life itself, that we're invoking an action that has a ripple effect, that is indeed propagating and doing good beyond these four walls, while at the same time, we have made a covenant and a commitment to ourselves to continue to expand and to propagate and to give good by means of joy from this experience beyond. And so we trust and know that we're here today by divine appointment, which means that we are here today as a collective to step into the healing process individually and collectively and beyond by knowing there is no other, there is only the one. And so we're here today to hear a new spiritual truth, to allow a shift and change to take place in our lives that is causing us to rise up in consciousness as we go deeper into our soul, and in so doing, finding ourselves in a space of spiritual awakening, which then gives us the ability to be empowered in a new way. And so we take this framework of healing mind and let it be the foundation from which we experience this time together. No longer returning to this state of mind, but letting it be the foundation from which we grow. Here we grow again. And we let it be as we say together. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Connie. And thank you, all of you. Thank you. So happy to have Dedrick back with us, and Yaron. I know he's a big voice, so just take ready that, right? I ask him sometimes to bring it down a little bit because he's a lot, and I love it, all of it. And I'm trusting and knowing you do too. So he's singing a song today that's going to tie into my message, and so thank you for doing that. So Dedrick and Yaron, ladies and gentlemen.
From the day we arrived on the plane and blinking stepped into the sun, there was more to see that had never been seen, more to do that had never been done. There is far so much to take in here, more to find that had never been found. With the sun rolling high and the sapphire skies, blessings small on the endless round, it's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of life. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair of life.
I'm glad you're in my circle of life. I am. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm glad you're in my circle of life too, Yaron Spiwak. And I'm glad each of you is in my circle of life. And I'm happy to be in yours too. Thank you. So, fortunately, I don't have a fragile ego. So this morning, I'd like to begin with a poem that some of you have heard, that's sitting in here, but some of you haven't. And it's titled, If Not For You. If not for you, there would be a place of emptiness in the heart of God. If not for you, all the good you have done would still need doing. If not for you, the spark of your ideas would not have ignited a fire in others. If not for you, the key role that you have played in life's drama would remain unfulfilled. If not for you, at least one person would not have awakened to their dreams. If not for you, your triumphs could not be examples to inspire others. If not for you, someone who needed love would not have received it. If not for you, a life would have been shortened or never have existed. If not for you, the song of life would have missed a beat. If not for you, your gifts would remain ungiven. If not for you, another might have suffered in your place. If not for you, someone would have no path to follow. If not for you, there would be one less smile, one less laugh, and one less hug. If not for you, there would be less mystery. If not for you, an animal might be homeless, a garden left unplanted. If not for you, something would be missing. You've always made a difference. Who you are is important every day. You are the face, the heart, and the soul of God. Now, each time I've read this poem in the last 2 weeks, which have been 3 times prior to today, it's been in a memorial service. Today, I wanted to share this with you all so that we can take a moment and honor the fragility of life. The song that Dedrick just sang spoke to the circle of life, which indeed is the case, right? It's that cycle of life showing up, the energy of life that we take and use it in form while we have the form. And then when that is time for that to leave, the life force itself continues on. But today, my goal and my intention is to invite you to awaken to a place where you live in a state of mind that you're invoking exactly what this poem says, so that it isn't being read for you, that as it's being read, it's acknowledging how you're living your life. To remember today that we only have this moment. And to ask ourselves, how did we show up in the moment? Joanne and I were talking upstairs about this shifting and seemingly the fragility of life and how quickly it can happen and snap in front of us. And my last 2 weeks has been filled with lots of it, just lots of it. I don't want to give you all details, but there is a lot. And what I've gotten really clear on is that I am at choice every single moment to ask myself, how do I view life? Not death, because death is inevitable, but how do I view life? What am I willing to give in life, as life, while I'm here with the ability to do so? Our teaching teaches us that every single thing is energy, and that the energy is infinite by nature. and that energy comes into us as a force of life. And then, as I said earlier, we both process it, and experience through our thoughts and our minds and our actions and our reactions and our interactions with the very thing itself. Whether that's how I use it to myself, how I use it with you, how I use it with life, how I use it with my beloved four-legged spiritual offspring. The list goes on and on and on, that we're always at choice as to how we use the very power itself. So my message this morning is awakening to consciously sharing your gifts. Consciously sharing your gifts. First of all, it's important for us to realize that we have gifts in life, starting with life itself. But because we each individualize the very thing itself, one of my favorite quotes, as you all know, from Ernest Holmes is, "Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you," which means that as we individualize the very thing itself, we are a unique expression of it. There is only one me. Now, many people might say, thank God that's the case. I know my mother did for years, because she said I turned her gray by the time she was about 27, right? And I have a twin sister. She didn't do this. I have a brother. None of those had that impact over. I did. So kind of proud of that. But as opposed to looking at our individualized expression of the divine as a bad thing and attempting to adhere to the norm or become like everybody else, I think it's that statement tells us, because we're an individualized expression of the very thing itself and a stamp of individuality has been put on itself, then as we become awakened on our spiritual journey of finding personal self-empowerment, part of what we're here to do is to live the I, the Keith Cox am, out to the world as big as we can. To become aware of the uniqueness that we are and the gifts that we bring to the world, and then consciously share them. Friday afternoon, as I was standing in this tiny little room at the Westwood Memorial Gardens, and we were placing the remains of a beloved on a shelf, with three people that I love really dearly. I don't really know that well, but I love them dearly. It was a very, 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 very private moment. And I realized in that moment, one of my gifts is to take us from the beginning of that service to the end. That's one of my gifts, right? For years, I suppressed that gift, but I don't suppress it anymore. It's like, that's who I am. That's what I'm here to do. And by God, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to have zero emotional attachment to it, zero emotional attachment as to how it's received, because I have no control over how it's received. But I have great control over how I bring it to the world. And the most important thing is, when I bring it to the world, is to get my ego out of the way and to show up and let the divine do its thing through me. And that's the same for each and every one of us in here. We all have our own gifts, whether it's working with pets or organizing or just sitting with someone or playing the saxophone if we've put it down for years, or fill in the blank. And those are just gifts that we have of expressing our talent. Other gifts that we have is the ability to be compassionate, to be kind, to be loving, to give, and sometimes just to say, hey, I'm willing to be vulnerable, I need a hug, and let someone else love on us. Ernest Holmes writes in the book regarding this, as to each is given what he needs, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. He's not talking about the gifts of heaven as some destination in the sky way out past Mars and beyond. He's talking about heaven as a state of mind that is awakened to understanding that it's our innate nature to be blissful. Being blissful doesn't mean that there isn't shit in life, by the way. Being blissful means that you know that who you are is transcendent of all conditions, the crap and the good stuff. And we've each been given the gift to be who we are as we're on that journey of finding our spiritual awakening. Part of that spiritual awakening is knowing that we are one as the one with the one, and we're here to share our gift. But he tells us we've been given already what we need in life, and the gifts already of a state of mind that is in alignment with its innate nature, whose qualities are peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. We're being told that that's already imbued within us, and our responsibility as we become awakened and are being conscious in how we live our life is to choose those qualities as a state of mind, a state of action, state of beliefs, state of interactions in life, and in so doing, we will radiate and vibrate a consciousness that will attract back to us experiences that reflect that. He goes on to say, how we shall use these gifts is all that matters in life. To hold one's thoughts steadfastly to the constructive, to that which endures, and to the truth may not be easy in a rapidly changing world. But to the one who makes the attempt, much is guaranteed. Much like in traditional religion, what they tell you is if you make the attempt, what is guaranteed is that you'll get to heaven. He's telling you the same thing, but that the heaven is within. That as we make the attempt to step into an evolutionary consciousness, one that reflects our divine nature, that in so doing we are developing a state of mind that is reflective of the very thing itself that is imbued within us. And because we live in a world that is governed by spiritual law, the law of attraction, the law of reciprocity, fill in the blank, the law of life, we then attract into our world a reflection of the very thing that exists within us and the qualities that they are. Does that make sense? So in other words, our role here then is to focus on using the power that exists within us, which is also known as a power for good. Now, for those of you that are new to this teaching, good is a synonym for God. And many of you have heard me say, I don't really care if you use that word. If you don't like it, don't use it. But that's the God word. But find a word that does work for you so that you're aware that when you are speaking to and as that power, it resonates within you, a vibrational frequency that reflects its nature, which, as I said before, is the PPBJLLLW. Got it? Those are the peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, wisdom. Now, Ernest goes on to say, there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. The human mind needs and must have a different approach, a direct approach to spirit. It is natural for us to reach out from ignorance to its enlightenment, from our weakness to its strength, from our darkness to its light. What he's telling us here is that as we become awakened to our nature as spiritual beings, we become to realize that the very power that exists within us is a power for good, and that not only can we use it, but we're always using it, whether we're conscious of it or not, and that our mind, the individualized mind of the thing itself, needs and must have a direct approach to spirit, right? And so our direct approach is through our minds, right? He goes on then to say that it's natural for us to reach out from our ignorance to its enlightenment. In other words, that's part of the evolutionary process, to work our mind to find a higher idea that seems to be in alignment with our divine nature. Does that make sense? That's moving from ignorance to enlightenment, from weakness to strength. In other words, we are weakened when we live life unaware of who we are as divine beings, because then oftentimes we live in a state of fear or a state of ignorance or a state of disbelief. And he's telling us that as we awaken to our divine nature, as we awaken to enlightenment, then we become empowered, our vision statement here. That's the strength part he's talking about. And then we move from our darkness to the light. In other words, he's just giving us some more languaging as to what I've been saying, is that once we become attuned to who we are as light beings and focus on calling in the light, then we awaken within us the peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom that already exist within us. And as we do that and say, yes, by God, that's who I am, and own it, then the law of life must bring us experiences that are reflective of that. And that the moment that we think or choose differently, stop, and what did David used to tell us? Get over it, Blanche. That's what he used to say. Stop the madness, get over it, and start anew. Stop and start anew. What we're being told here is the very outlet itself needs us to express itself. What we need to do is exactly what I'm teaching in our class series right now, is constantly be fine-tuning our state of mind, fine-tuning how we show up in life, fine-tune how we are consciously sharing our gifts, and fine-tuning that we are indeed walking our talk. That we're talking the talk and walking the walk. Being very clear of expressing who we are as divine beings as we navigate the day-to-day activities of our humanity. In our class we looked at this week, the meaning of talk the talk and walk the walk. It says supporting what you say, not just with words, but also through action or evidence. In other words, it's just not enough to know that this is our spiritual truth. That we have to show up and give it. We have to show up and act accordingly. We have to show up and let our behaviors be reflective of our state of mind, even if we don't believe it in that moment. In class the other night, we were talking about the as-if principle. And someone made a comment, I don't have this information absolutely correct, but made the comment around how it was basically kind of lying. We were lying to the principle of life. And I said, you're not. What you're doing is you're holding a state of mind that is reflective of what exists within you until the law produces for you an effect that's reflective of that, or till you believe it for yourself. Has anyone in the room ever practiced the as-if principle in that way? Yeah, so we've all had experiences of what it's like. When I got into real estate in the early 80s in Atlanta, this was way before some technology of today, and we would all go out and put for sale signs in the front yard of a house and then put a sold sign in front of it and stand in front of it. Those days I'd occasionally would wear a navy blazer with khakis, stand and smile, and then focus on that sign until what? We sold the house. Right? Now, that may seem hocusy-pocusy, right? But at the end of the day, it's not about it. It is hocusy-pocusy if you think it's hocusy-pocusy. But if you really understand that what we're teaching here in the science of mind, many other teachers and teachings are the same, is that the key is to program your mind to what the desired result is, and then to line up your behaviors to that desired result, and then constantly be fine-tuning your mind to believe the desired outcome is real in form already until you see it, and then match your languaging to it. That's the science of mind in a nutshell. Let's go home. Give me your money. I said, give me your money. No. So, David, lots of zeros, and I don't know before the decimal. What we're being called here to do as we've stepped into this state of awakening is to know that what we do in life speaks significantly louder than what we're saying. If we truly are here to be the example or to be the change, then today is the day. Today is the day to choose anew. Today is the day to commit to talking a new language. Today is the day to choose to consciously share our gifts. Today is the day to forgive a lot quicker. Today is the day to love more easily. Today is the day to no longer hide what it is that you want to be or do or to experience in life. Is it easy? Not really. Sometimes. What I can tell you in life as we lean into this way of life, this philosophy, this faith of life, this philosophy, faith, and way of life that Ernest Holmes called the science of mind, is to not do it because it's the science of mind and you're a follower of Ernest Holmes and he's some dogmatic guru. Do it because it has the capacity as a philosophy of faith, the way of life, to change your life. That's what it's all about. And not because you're doing it to satisfy some outside deity. There ain't no deity out there that you can satisfy. That's hocus pocus. But what we know is that as we fine-tune our mind and use our mind in a way that makes life better on a day-to-day basis, that not only do we get the benefits of that, but because we live in a world where we're interconnected, that so does everyone else, because that ripple effect takes place. But occasionally fear might show up. Anyone ever had that? Yeah. Well, fear should not be enough to keep us from doing it. And fear is not a real valuable tool. It's important for us to know that we can convert that fear into faith. Faith, and my acronym for faith is full assurance of the heart. full assurance in the heart. In other words, let's lean into faith of looking at the constant in our life, which is love. Love is a self-givingness of spirit whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. In other words, love, that power, that spirit magnifying itself, as I've spoken of earlier, and as awakened human beings through human love. Through love of honoring our brothers and our sisters through the oneness of life and giving that love in a way of humanity, through humanity, and knowing that we do that without any attachment to how it comes back to us, because once we've strengthened our faith musculature, we know that it has to come back to us because that's the way the universe works. That when our demonstrations show up, we're not like, oh my God, it worked. To be like, well, hell yeah, it worked. I did my part. I'll never forget, I don't know if I should tell this story. I'll move on. Where is Elizabeth? Are you proud of me? Yes. I used to couldn't catch myself, right? And she would drop her head like, oh my God, here we go. Here we go. Ernest Holmes. Whew, dancing that dance. I kind of reeled that one back in, didn't I? All right. Ernest Holmes writes, faith. I love this quote, and it's from the book, How to Use the Science of Mind, and we're using it in our class. Second plug, by the way, for the class, all right? Faith not only lays hold of a power which actually exists, it causes this power to respond as though it were a law of good operating through you. Now, hear that anew, because what it's saying is that the law of good is there, and we want it to respond to us, right? And we've already been told it's in us, right? All that good's there. The law of life works. It's impersonal, right? So then how do we access more and more and more of it? Faith. That's how you do it. Ernie writes, faith not only lays hold of a power which actually exists, it causes this power to respond as though it were a law of good operating through you. Why shouldn't we have an unlimited faith in life? It has intelligence enough to make everything, including you. Now that's a powerful statement. Would you agree? Then really? The rest of you don't? Lock the doors. No. We're going to heal you today. Hear this anew. I'm going to read the whole thing. Faith not only lays hold of a power which actually exists, it causes this power to respond as though it were a law of good operating through you. Why shouldn't we have an unlimited faith in life? It has intelligence enough to make everything, including you. Including you. You know, I'll never forget one day I was working with a coach in my real estate career at the time, and many of you guys have heard this story, and I was fretting over a deal. And I had these goals I wanted to make, which I always made. It was like all this stuff, and I was like wringing my hands, and I had my office at the time. We jokingly called it a closet, the only time I've ever been in one. But it's a little office, and he's this big football player guy, totally cool dude, and he's in the room, and I'm standing up going, I just don't know if I'm gonna make the deal. Few people can say this to me. He goes, Keith? I said, yes. He goes, sit down and shut up. I'm like, 6'4" football player. Okay. So I did, right? And he looked me square in the eye and said, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I said, what? And he goes, do you believe there's a power greater than you in the universe? And I said, yes, I do. And he goes, I don't care what you call it, but what do you call it? And I said, I call it God. He said, now I'm going to ask you the next question, and do not answer this question until you're clear on the answer. I said, okay. And he goes, has it ever failed you? No. And that's what I said, was no. And he clapped his hands and said, now get over it. And that's what I invite you to do today. Get over it. The truth is, it's never failed you. Whether you think it has or not, it hasn't. Why? Because it can't. For it to fail you, it would have to have personal qualities. And it's impersonal. Therefore, it can't. So when you and I use our mind in a way to think that it indeed is failing us, it's not. We're failing ourselves by not thinking the highest thought. And when we choose to not think the highest thought, we are cheating ourselves and others from getting to experience that cherished gift that is ours. When we're not living our life to the highest vibrational frequency possible, we're not honoring the very power that exists within us that's here saying, as Ricky Byers writes, use me. Use me. That's really what we're called here to do, is to say to the power, use me. I'm here. I'm here to propagate the very good that exists within me. And to know that we're not our childhood trauma, we're not our high school trauma, we're not our parents, we're not our siblings, we're not the people that we've slept with, we're not our ex-relationships, we're not our old friendships, we're not our old habits, we're not our old choices, we're not our old failures, we're not victims. Our past does not define us. It's what we do with our mind going forward that helps us express the very definition of who we are innately, which is we're a child of God. And so I close this morning with reading a poem to you that I want you to hear anew. This will be the 5th time I've read it in the last 2 weeks. If not for you, there would be a place of emptiness in the heart of God. If not for you, all the good that you have done would still need doing. If not for you, the spark of an idea would not have ignited a fire in others. If not for you, the key role you've played in life's drama would remain unfulfilled. If not for you, at least one person would not have awakened to their dreams. If not for you, your triumphs could not be examples to inspire others. And if not for you, someone who needed love would not have received it. If not for you, a life would have been shortened or never have existed. If not for you, the song of life would have missed a beat. If not for you, your gifts would remain ungiven. If not for you, another might have suffered in your place. If not for you, someone would have no path to follow. If not for you, there would be one less smile, one less laugh, and one less hug. If not for you, there would be less mystery. If not for you, an animal might be homeless and a garden left unplanted. If not for you, something definitely would be missing. You've always made a difference. Keep doing it. You are important every day, for you're the face, you're the heart, and you're the soul of God. So keep being you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We've got our gentlemen coming back. Dedrick and Yaron. Happy to have you back. And so they're going to continue in this theme and sing a song of affirmation, I believe, correct? And I will step back and not rap behind you like I did earlier. Okay.
Happy day, oh happy day, when God washed, when God washed, when God washed, He washed my sins away. Oh yeah. Go ahead, Whoopi Goldberg. La 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 la. You wash my sins away.
Taught me how.
Oh, he taught me how to wash, fight and pray, fight and pray, and he taught me how to live, rejoice, sing every day, every day. Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Happy day.
When God washed. When God washed. When God washed. He washed my sins away.
Happy day.
Oh, 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 happy day.
And Yaron Spiwak. What you laughing at? That one, good. Beautiful, thank you. I love that song. Thank you. And just for clarity in this teaching, we don't feel like we have sins in the traditional sense to be washed away. And God or Jesus or anybody else ain't saving your ass, just so we're clear on that either. The salvation comes through a higher state of mind, for just clarity on that. And sin, we look at the sin in this teaching from the definition of sin, the Latin word of sin, which that's not the actual word, but anyway, which means missing the mark. And so sin in this teaching is when you don't think the highest thought. That's what it is. Thank you, gentlemen. Beautiful.